Hey, what's up YouTube? King James here. The LC10 is the new SMG released in Season 2, and I've seen a lot of, information online saying that it's not as good as the Mac 10 and, doesn't hit as hard and a bunch of other stuff like that. And then when I look at it, a lot of people have what I would call probably not the optimum build. So I've done a bunch of research and a bunch of testing and a bunch of play with it. And I think I have exactly the right build for this gun that makes it just as powerful as the Mac 10. Or is it? I'll show you and you can decide. So let's start by looking at the base stats comparison. The Mac 10, high rate of fire 1100, headshot 30, chest 25. LC10, it's got a lower rate of fire, around 800, but 48 headshots, so much higher headshot, 30 to the chest and extremities. So it does more damage, but with a lower rate of fire. And it has less damage drop-offs. It's got a slightly slower ADS than the Mac 10, but its sprint to fire time is better. 217 and 117 versus 284 and 163. This is the length of time it takes from when you're running to when you can pull your gun up and shoot. Like if you're running around a corner and there happens to be a guy there, how long is it going to take before you can shoot after you're running? So this is an important feature of this gun. In the TTK charts, well, they're both about exactly the same. They're only about 1/10 of a second apart, and pretty well anywhere. So it's pretty tight. The damage between the two of them is almost the same. But where it gets better is if you look at the headshots, because of that really high headshot of the LC10, it's actually better than the Mac 10 all the way across. So if you're getting chest shots and you drag up to some headshots, you're really going to knock that 1/10 of a second to being almost exactly the same. All right, so here's a little video of me using the LC10, and this is right after I finished leveling it, and I found the gun was really strong up close. I didn't have any issue getting guys down. Even when I ran in a building and didn't have the advantage to be able to shoot first, I still found it was quite strong, and I had no issues. And what's interesting in this game here is this is a Rebirth game, and I was using it to down all these guys, and what happened eventually is I ended up dying and coming back, and I couldn't get my loot. So right here, I'm using a floor loot LC10, and I still found even the floor loot gun was pretty strong. And that's a pretty far shot right there, and I got hit right here by the last guy and got down, and Toothy came and picked me up, and we're searching for the very last guy. Here he is running out, and boom, got the win with the floor loot gun even. So then it got me thinking, I wonder if I could line up a couple of kills with the two guns side by side and just see if I can notice any visual difference. This guys are talking about it's not as strong as the Mac 10. So let me line some kills up and see if I can tell. Now, granted, I don't know how many shots I hit here. I don't know how many plates they have, but I just grabbed two and put them together just to see if I could see any difference. And well, I'll roll it and let you have a look. So I come around here and boom, these first two guys come out and got them both down. And the Mac 10 was a little slower on the thirst there, but I think I missed my first couple of shots. Again, here, started the shots and got them both down around the same time, and the thirst around the same time. So I don't think that the LC10 is not competitive compared to the Mac 10, especially when I was using it in back-to-back video. They both seem to be pretty good. All right, so let me show you my loadout. But just before I do that, I want to say thank you to everybody who's recently subbed to the channel. I really appreciate all that love and support, so thank you guys. And if you haven't subbed to the channel, consider subscribing because it really does help small content creators like myself. All right, let me show you what I got. So for the muzzle, definitely been using the agency suppressor. I don't really feel like on an SMG there's any other choice. You want to stay off the mini-map. Plus, it gives you all the extra buffs now that the fixed agency suppressor gives you. Sound suppression, vertical recoil control, bullet velocity, effective damage range. It's good right across the board, so it's definitely what we want to use. So for the barrel, I did a bunch of bullet velocity testing because True Game Data hasn't updated the LC10 yet. So I did all my own bullet velocity testing on all the barrels, and I can show you the results. And just in case there's any misconceptions about bullet velocity testing, I do all my own. So you can see right here, I have all of the barrels here and their short clips and then a timer lined up against them. And I measure the time when the bullet first goes and how long it takes for it to travel to its destination. There's base, extended, cavalry, reinforced, ranger, rifle, task force, and the cavalry agency combo together. So this is definitely something that I learned from JGod. So shout out to him for showing me how to, bullet velocity test barrels. But did this on my own and I have the results, which I don't think any other site actually has on the LC10. So let me show you what I found. All right, so here's what I found. The bullet velocity and the LC10 and the Mac 10 is basically exactly the same. The numbers line up pretty well perfectly. 39, 0, 53, 40, 0, 60, 64, and 69, 0, 31, 36. So they're basically exactly the same, which leads me to believe that the effective damage range is probably also exactly the same. And a recent tweet on my Mac 10 video from TBZ Gaming, he pointed out that some testing was done again by True Game Data, and he found that the 75% difference on the hip fire for the rifled barrel is not actually true. true. It's actually 0. So there isn't that massive negative. And then further to that, JGod did a little bit of range testing, and he found that the cavalry was actually 19%, not 17, and the rifled barrel was actually only 16%, not 23. So I'm going to run with JGod because he found a couple of discrepancies on the stuff that he had. So in theory, I believe the effective damage range on the LC10 is going to follow exactly to the MAC-10 and likely to what JGod found. So the cavalry barrel is going to give us 19% effective damage range, and with the cavalry, the cavalry barrel, and with the agency suppressor, we're going to get 26% bullet velocity and 19% effective damage range, which is great. So that's going to make a great combo for the LC10. So for the barrel, definitely the cavalry lancer. So for the underbarrel, it really for me came down to the field agent and the SFOD. Those seem to be the two best ones for the various SMGs. So I decided to test both, and let me show you how it went. So what I did here is I just dropped in and got both guns, killed myself, came back and got both SMGs in my loadout at the same time. So I shot the SFOD up the wall first, and then I swapped over to the field agent and did the exact same thing and shot up the wall just to have a look at what the difference in the recoil pattern was. And I noticed pretty well right away that the field agent had a shorter recoil pattern, and it didn't really seem like the groupings was tighter, but it didn't seem like the horizontal was a whole lot better. The line did look a little bit straighter though. So just for the extra vertical and the grouping being a little tighter, I figured the field agent was better. So I'm going to add the field agent onto my gun. Now for the stock, I've been running with the Raider stock because it gives you much improved sprint to fire time. Again, this is really helpful when you're running and then you have to shoot. The better your sprint to fire time is, the better off you are, especially when you're coming up against somebody really close range with a MAC-10 where it's a little faster time to kill in that, up to about 12-meter range. You want that faster sprint to fire, so it's going to give you a chance to get the down and have an even playing field, especially with those headshots factored in. So for the ammunition, it really came down to me between the Stenag 55 round and the Salvo 52 fast round mag. And there's a little bit of differences between the two. This one is ammo capacity and a negative to ADS, and this is ammo capacity plus reload quickness and a negative to ADS. So I wanted to test the ADS and the reload quickness to see if there really is any difference, because sometimes it says it and there's not. All right, so here's the ADS difference between the two guns. I'm just going to fast forward it. And this isn't really the best one to be fast forwarding it in, but you can see the Stenag was actually a little faster on the left versus the Salvo. It's still coming up right here, and I think they landed around 0.33 seconds versus 0.36, so about 0.3 of a second faster on the Stenag 55, but that was the only place where it was actually better. When I got to the reload, and this is one thing that I actually really get annoyed by, is a slow reload, and you end up getting shot at a guy and you're spending all your time reloading and you die reloading. That happens to me every once in a while. And the Salvo 52, it actually is quite a bit faster on the reload. So I started right here, and I got the timer going, and you see the Salvo is on the right, and you can see I clip it in right there and done. And you can see the Stenag right here, it's still in the animation of putting the magazine back in. So I'll finish it up right there. It was about 1.85 second reload, and the Stenag's coming down. I think it landed right around 2.2. So that's almost, what is that, like almost 0.4 of a second or 3.5 of a second. That difference right there, especially when I was playing with it, I really noticed that faster reload, and I had a lot more confidence reloading mid-fight if I had to. But where things got a little interesting for me is I grabbed the two magazines and I decided to just shoot a recoil pattern on the wall. I didn't expect to find any difference, but as you can see here on these two lines, I did. And then actually I did it again and filmed it because I was actually surprised I found a difference. And let me show you. So this right here, this is the Stenag 55 round mag because it had 55 bullets there when I started. And you can see there, and it has this like big, like elbow coming out here in it. And then I pulled out the Salvo 52 round mag, and I noticed, look, it was shorter here. And now here it was a tiny bit shorter, but it doesn't have all this like huge left to right movement in it. It was a much smoother curve. And I didn't realize that the magazine was going to give any kind of difference in the vertical or horizontal recoil control. But here it is. So I'm definitely going to be adding the Salvo 52 round fast mag. And that's my setup for how I've been running it in Warzone and Rebirth Island. All right, so what's the final word on the LC10 versus MAC-10? Well, to be honest, I find the LC10 is just as competitive as the MAC-10. It has almost as fast of a time to kill. If you mix in some headshots, it's faster. It's got a faster sprint to fire time, and it's got a better headshot multiplier. I found the gun was just as fun to use. It has just as much bullet velocity and range, better range actually than the MAC-10 had. So all these videos where people are saying that it's not as good and not as competitive, I don't know what gun they're using, but it probably isn't this build. If they use this build, maybe it would change their mind. Try the build out and let me know your thoughts. So I'm just going to lead this video out with a little bit of multiplayer action from Cold War. I really enjoyed playing with this gun. I even leveled it up to gold. Let me know if you have any questions or comments in the comment section down below. If you got a different way that you're running the gun, or have you had success with different attachments, hit me up in the comment section and let me know. I'd love to hear about different builds and try different things out. And as always, guys, if you don't see me in Warzone, if you don't see me in multiplayer, it's only a matter of time, baby. King James out.